Hey guys, we got something good today. This is a slow cooker pot roast. It's delicious and tender. I figured this would be a good way to end 2023, so let's get started. First thing we're gonna do is get our meat ready. This is a boneless beef chuck roast, and if yours has bones in it, that's totally fine. Just make sure that when you're cooking it, you remove the bones later. But this is at room temperature, and this is actually under 2 pounds, and I'm going to be doing 2 of them. So I'm just gonna show you how to make one of them and just do it again with the other. I'm seasoning both sides generously with some salt and pepper, and I'm also adding a little bit of all-purpose flour. And the reason why I'm doing this and rubbing it into the meat is so that when I put this on the stovetop, it browns on both sides. And you want to do this before you slow cook it. That way you get a nice crust. I love that sound. I used a little bit of olive oil for the pan here, but if you'd rather use butter, that's fine too. I let this cook low and slow for about 4 to 5 minutes on both sides. We're not going to cook the meat completely. Like I said, we're just going to brown both sides a little bit before putting it in the slow cooker. And when it looks good, it's going to be time to put this to the side and let this cool for a little bit. Next step is to saute our onions, and I'm just going to put in a little bit more oil, and I'm going to add them in there. And I'm just going to cook this for a few minutes until they're nice and brown. We're not going to caramelize them. Like I said, we're just browning them. When it looks like they've gotten a little bit of color, I'm going to make a well in the center there. I'm going to add my fresh garlic, a little bit more oil, and I'm just going to cook that up until the garlic starts to brown. And then after that, we're going to add some all-purpose flour, and the reason why we're adding this is because we're going to make a roux. And once everything is looking dry and there's no clumps of flour anywhere in your onions, we're going to add some cold beef broth. And I'm putting emphasis on the cold here because if your roux is hot and your beef broth is cold, you're going to get no lumps. Now, once this is starting to thicken, because I'm not adding all of the beef broth at once, I'm doing half and half, and I'm going to add the rest. Once you do and give this a stir with your wooden spoon, it's going to start to thicken. Let it simmer for a few minutes, and this is looking pretty good. And now it's time to move on to our slow cooker. I gotta tell you, it's been a while since I've used this thing, but when I do, meals always come out fantastic. I have this on high, and I'm adding both of my roasts in there, and then I'm going to add our sauce and pour that all in there. And I know it looks very light right now, but as it's going to cook, it's going to darken. I'm adding a little bit of dried rosemary. You can add any herbs that you'd like. I just really like rosemary. There's no need to add any salt or pepper because this is already seasoned pretty well. I'm going to cover that, and this is going to go for 6 hours. And keep an eye on it. You want to check on it every couple of hours or so. Right here is about the 4-hour mark, and I'm just going to take a pair of tongs, and this meat is falling apart, and that is good. You want that to happen. This is looking great. As you can see, it is not cooked all the way. This does have a lot more to go. Just going to cover it and let it keep cooking. And with about an hour left, I'm just going to tear up the meat. And also, if you have any vegetables to add, like celery or peas and carrots, which is what I'm doing, and I'm using frozen peas and carrots, frozen vegetables work fine here. And I didn't add any potatoes, but if you were to add potatoes, I would add them at the very beginning along with the roast because they take longer to cook. And after I'm done doing that, I'm going to cover this up and let it go for another hour. And after an hour, this is looking and smelling wonderful. And yeah, this turned out great. It's super tender, super juicy, seasoned beautifully. I actually served this on the first night of Hanukkah. As you can see, I have a side of noodle kugel and homemade challah, which I should show you guys how to do one of these days. Maybe next Hanukkah I'll do that. Having said that, I'm just going to take my dinner and enjoy it, and I hope you all have a happy, safe holiday and a happy new year. I hope you all enjoyed this one. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in 2024.